Kong was happily chewing on a chicken leg when he suddenly let out a roar of pain. It turned out he had a rotten tooth. The throbbing ache in his jaw was unbearable, so he had no choice but to climb up from the hollow earth and seek help from humans. Humans quickly brought in a team of doctors, ready to extract the bad tooth. They pumped him full of tons of sedatives, then a dentist landed beside him in a helicopter. With massive chains, they locked the decayed tooth in place and began the extraction.
Alright, let's roll!
To make sure Kong could still enjoy meat in the future, the dentist implanted a titanium alloy replacement. Kong tested it out and seemed very pleased. What he didn't realize, however, was that his new metal tooth would later become a source of ridicule among his kind. With the procedure done, Kong prepared to return to the hollow earth. But the moment he got back, trouble found him. A pack of wild dogs chased him relentlessly. Kong wasn't afraid of them, but their sheer numbers made them difficult to deal with all at once. He ran toward a cliff, then leapt off, hoping to lose them in the drop. To his surprise, the wild dogs jumped after him. Trapped with nowhere left to run, Kong suddenly flashed a strange smile. He had lured them here on purpose, ready to teach them a lesson. One dog rushed in first only to fall right into a pitfall trap Kong had set in advance. Before the others realized what was happening, Kong triggered another trap. Thick smoke rose, followed by an avalanche of boulders that buried the pack beneath. Almost all of them were wiped out. Only 3 dogs managed to escape, and even they were still eyeing him cautiously. Kong wasn't interested in wiping them out completely. Instead, he grabbed a dead dog's body, tore it in half over his head, and showed the survivors what would happen if they stayed. Terrified, the remaining wild dogs bolted in panic. But Kong was left drenched in blood and fluids, feeling disgusted. He went to a waterfall to wash himself clean. After returning to his dwelling, he suddenly sensed a terrifying energy nearby. Without hesitation, he unearthed his long-buried battle axe, ready for combat. He followed the energy to a cliff glowing with an eerie blue light. The source was below. Determined to uncover the truth, Kong descended with his axe lighting the way. To his horror, he found piles of bones, remains of his own kind. Grief weighed heavy on him. Then, from the distance, a thunderous roar echoed through the cavern. Kong stepped out of the tunnel and discovered an even larger chamber. In the mist ahead, a towering figure emerged, slowly moving toward him. Kong braced himself, ready for the fight of his life. But when the fog cleared, what appeared wasn't a monster. It was a small yellow gorilla. It was the first time in years Kong had seen one of his own kind. So he crouched down, laid his weapon aside, and reached out a hand to gently touch the little one. But the young gorilla suddenly bit his finger. Then spun around and tried to run. Just as Kong was about to give chase, another, stronger ape charged in from behind. Before Kong could speak, the 2 of them ambushed him and forced him to the ground. But they were no match for Kong. He grabbed a rock, powered to his feet, and easily knocked the apes aside. Suddenly, the little gorilla leapt onto Kong's face, clawing at him. Kong snatched him up and, without thinking, used him as a weapon. Still, out of respect for his own kind, Kong held back. In the chaos, one of the apes slipped off a cliff. Kong caught him just in time, pulling him back to safety. But instead of showing gratitude, the ape came at him with a knife. That betrayal finally pushed Kong over the edge. The last gorilla turned tail and ran. Kong didn't bother chasing. He just hurled a rock with devastating force. Then he dragged another young gorilla out from where it was hiding in the trees, and slammed him to the ground, teaching him a painful lesson. Faced with Kong's fury, the little one froze like a guilty child. Too scared to make a sound, Kong picked up a bone blade from the ground, and motioned for the youngster to lead him to where the ape clan now lived. The little gorilla resisted, but under Kong's glare, he had no choice but to obey. What Kong didn't know was that despite being young, the little gorilla had a devious mind. Instead of taking Kong to his people, he led him to a terrifying place, plotting to have someone else finish Kong off. But Kong was no fool. He could easily see through such tricks. He sniffed the air, sensing that today's lunch might be secured. With that, he walked into the water to wash himself. Not wanting to have his plan exposed, the little gorilla tried to act nonchalant and pretended to drink from the water. Suddenly, ripples appeared on the surface, and Kong sensed something was wrong. Turning around, he saw a water dragon swiftly approaching, ready to strike. Taking advantage of the distraction as the two fought, the little gorilla quickly scampered toward the shore. Kong managed to slam the dragon down into the lake, but the creature quickly got back on its feet. With a flick of its tail, it dragged Kong into the water. This wasn't something Kong couldn't handle. The next second, he broke free from the dragon's grip and shot out of the water. Facing the dragon that had ensnared him, Kong finally unleashed his full power. The little gorilla thought it had finally escaped Kong's grasp, only to be taken by surprise when a giant battle axe came crashing down from above, sending it tumbling away. Kong then tossed the dragon's severed head at the little gorilla's feet. The little gorilla braced itself, expecting a beating, but Kong didn't strike. Instead, he picked up the axe and gestured for the little gorilla to move forward. As evening approached, Kong began eating the dragon meat. The hungry little gorilla could only pray that Kong would share some food with him. Kong noticed and directly handed over some food, but the little gorilla recoiled, eyeing him warily. Seeing the gorilla's ungratefulness, Kong tossed the food onto the ground. The little gorilla, realizing the situation, quickly grabbed the food and started eating. At that moment, the little gorilla's perception of Kong shifted. Full and satisfied, the little gorilla led Kong onward. Along the way, they passed a bridge made from the bones of a giant beast. Despite Kong's towering height of 100 meters, he seemed tiny atop the skeletal structure. It was clear that if this beast were still alive, the destruction it could wreak on Earth would be unimaginable. Soon, they reached their destination. But what they saw shocked and angered Kong. Countless apes were hauling heavy stones, clearly treated as slaves. And from the 3 severed ape heads mounted on spikes, it was obvious that whoever ruled this place was a terrifying force. Furious, Kong marched forward, determined to find out what was going on. What he didn't realize was that he was walking straight into disaster. Just then, one exhausted ape dropped a stone. Another ape kicked him to the ground without hesitation. Kong saw this and, ignoring the smaller ape trying to hold him back, stepped in and helped the fallen ape back to his feet. That single act, however, was enough to offend the brute who had kicked him. To make matters worse, Kong's move was seen as an open challenge to the ruler of this land. And right at that moment, a massive red-furred ape dropped from above. Every ape immediately dropped to their knees in submission. This was their master, the Scar King. The Scar King circled Kong, sizing him up, before suddenly shoving his hand into Kong's mouth. When he saw the fake tooth, he burst into mocking laughter. Then his gaze shifted to the little ape who had brought Kong here. Realizing the connection, the Scar King moved to punish him. The little ape's mother rushed forward, shielding her child with her body, pleading with tearful eyes for mercy. But without a hint of hesitation, the Scar King kicked her straight into the molten lava. That was the last straw. Kong roared in fury and challenged the Scar King on the spot. Their deafening battle cry shook the ground as the fight began. Shadow emerged. It was the legendary Titan beast, Frost Demon. The creature so powerful it once single-handedly plunged Earth into an ice age. The Scar King raised his crystal again, signaling the Frost Demon to attack Kong. The beast hesitated, unwilling to obey, but the Scar King held its life crystal. With no choice, the Frost Demon let out a thunderous roar and charged straight at Kong.